Good afternoon. Well, actually, almost evening. It's actually evening, but it's daylight out, so it's throwing me off. I hereby call to order the regular session of the Orange Unified School District Board meeting for July 21st, 2022 at 7:02 p.m. All right, please stand to say the pledge. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. Hope everyone is having a great summer so far. And it's hard to believe that we're going to get ready for school in a month. So sorry to remind you of that. Just kidding. Okay. Dr. Hanson, report of closed sessions.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I'm pleased to report this evening that the Board of Education took action to appoint several administrative positions, appointing Mark McLaughlin to the principal middle school, Julie Lucas to principal alternative schools, Brenda Ochoa to assistant principal senior high school, and John Ruffridge to the position of principal elementary school. And the vote was 6-0, 1 absent. Congratulations to all our new administrators.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to item 3C, adoption of agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move.
Trustee Page, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Erickson, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is adopted, 601. Okay. Go on to item 4A, superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, I just wanted to make a few announcements. Just pleased to be at the end of a school year. There were a lot of celebrations, and now we're in the summer. Hope everybody's had some time to relax and enjoy their summer. Want to thank our incredible staff and the work that they did this past year. If you notice on the agenda, we have several contracts for employment, and that's for myself as well as for our executive team over here. We work as a team. We work collaboratively with all of our associations, our unions, and all of our employees, and we wouldn't have achieved as much as we have in Orange Unified without the tremendous support of our team. So I want to thank my team and congratulate them on another great year. Again, some of the highlights of our year are that we continue to offer in-person instruction the entire year, and it was incredible to see the work of our principals and our teachers in the classroom. We continue to have schools win multitude of awards. Our Golden Bell Award, again, for Jordan Academy. We have a total of 6 Golden Bell Awards in the last 5 years. Every year we continue to get more. We also had the achievement of a National Blue Ribbon School during the pandemic, Anaheim Hills Elementary School. Just incredible work in educational services. We received one-time money during this past year, where Educational Services put together many programs, from extended learning opportunities to amazing intervention programs. Sports for Learning are just some on the top of the list that I know are very well received at our sites. The team has done incredible work recruiting and finding employees during a very difficult workforce time, and everyone is working double duty because we still have additional positions that are open. We know it's very stressful on the organization and want to thank all of our incredible staff, all the way from our school sites to every division within the organization that supports our schools, for putting in extra efforts, because we know we are not fully staffed and it's been a challenging time in that area. Want to thank HR for also doing all their extra overtime to make sure that we do have staffing in place. Most critically important, our teachers and our principals. Want to thank Business Services and Facilities. This past year, we had the amazing accomplishment of grand openings at 3 high schools of our STEM centers. We opened up Orange High School the previous year, and this year we opened up Canyon, Villa Park, and El Medina. And that's a tribute to our community and their incredible support through Measure S and the funding that we received, and now we're embarking on Phase 2 Measure S. I want to thank Mr. Rivera for his tremendous efforts in this area. In 2018, I made a recommendation to the board. I want to thank the board for approving my recommendation for reorganization, where we put facilities into the CBO's hats, all the different hats that he juggles. And with the help of Mr. Harvey, we restored the position of the Senior Executive Director of Facilities and Planning, and they led the charge of implementing our bond and have done an amazing job. I'm getting those facilities in place, planning for Phase 2, also getting Fred Kelly open, and we enjoy also all the all-weather track and fields at all 4 of our high schools in addition to Fred Kelly. All this construction happened during the pandemic, despite many what I would call delays and issues as a result of supply chain and other complications exacerbated by getting work done during the pandemic, not to mention remote work being done by construction managers and various vendors that we worked with. So with that, it is my pleasure to say that this evening we have a contract for Mr. Rivera to become the Deputy Superintendent overseeing both his main areas of duties, which are business and facilities, and he will continue to support in that area and expand all of our incredible work with our financial transactions that he's brought to the district, refinancing many of our loans and saving millions of dollars to the taxpayers with Measure S. And we also have our assistant superintendent contracts that are on the agenda as well to extend them for an additional year. We have an amazing team here and want to thank everybody for their great work. And with that, I also want to just give some other announcements that I got some emails from some parents already about masks, so I thought I'd just address that right away. In Orange County, it is still highly recommended and not a mandate. So that means parents choose, students choose whether or not they will wear a mask. Same for employees. It's up to them to make that determination. I also want to say that we had, just another announcement, we had some tragedy in terms of the Uvalde shooting, and there's a lot of focus on safety and security in our schools. And thanks to Ms. Corella's leadership and her educational services team, there will be forums that will begin in August, safety forums regionally at 2 of our high schools, and there'll be more information to come out on that. And we're soliciting input from our parents and our employees, and we'll also have a task force meeting and additional information on how we're strengthening our security and working together to ensure that all our employees and our students are safe, partnering with our law enforcement agencies. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Hansen. Thank you for the summary and reiterating all the work your staff has done and has accomplished this past 2 years. So for my report, I am pleased to announce that on our consent calendar for approval this evening, item 15E is the approval of the 4th Amendment to the Agreement for Employment of Dr. Hansen as Superintendent. This amendment extends the current term of the employment agreement for an additional year to June 30th, 2025, and recognizes the superintendent is entitled to placement on the leadership salary schedule at column F, effective July 1st, 2021, based upon her positive annual evaluation. In addition, and in recognition of his service, the consent calendar at item 15F includes the approval of an employment agreement for Mr. David Rivera as Deputy Superintendent for a term of 3 years, commencing July 1st, 2022. Mr. Rivera's placement on the Option C District Leadership Base Salary Schedule, range 217, column A, longevity step 3, is based upon his credited years of service. In addition, the consent calendar provides for approval for a one-year extension of the agreements for employment for Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services, and Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources to June 30th, 2025. We have a great executive team here, and I'm proud of the work that they have done, particularly with the challenges they faced in the last 2 years. They were proactive, always made the students' learning and well-being at the top of their priorities, and so congratulations on a positive evaluation from the board. Since our last meeting, we've had over 6 graduations and numerous promotion ceremonies. We've heard inspirational and introspective speeches from our awesome students. I know it's been said, but the graduating class of 2022 is remarkable in their resilience and fortitude. Congratulations to all the graduates and students, and I wish them all well as they continue on their journey. And just to talk about the summer, we had a couple of things. It's been a little slow for at least the board, and so sorry if, the flow is not there right now. Trustee Erickson and I were happy and excited to participate in the 4th of July parade in Anaheim Hills. It was great to see students at Canyon High School and Fletcher Academy participate, especially since summer, the school is out during the summer. And we rode in front of the band, and they sounded awesome. And it was fun to be out in the community and see all the families, especially a lot of OUSD families celebrating Independence Day. During the summer also, our maintenance crews are busy working on projects that are over the summer. And I drive by Canyon High School almost daily, and I'm happy to see solar shade panels popping up in the Canyon parking lot. It is going pretty quickly, so thank you, Mr. Harvey. There are 6 solar projects being done right now, and I'm happy that our district is moving towards clean energy and renewable energy. The projects are at Anaheim Hills Elementary School, of course Canyon, CV, Serrano, Sycamore, and Villa Park Elementary School. Did I get them all? High school, sorry. High school. And the last thing is, over the summer, OUSD has a collaboration partnership with Santiago College, and today I talked to a parent whose kids attended 3 classes there, and she couldn't say enough great things about it. Her kids did swim, math, and magic, and then they will be doing cartooning in the future, and she said it's such a great program for OUSD students, and so we appreciate that partnership and the opportunity that we give our students. Thank you, and that concludes my report. So going on to item C, board recognition of students, staff, and community. Do we have any board members who would like to recognize or like to comment? Trustee Erickson?
Sure. I will just echo everything that President Yamasaki just said about our team. Dr. Hansen, you earned an incredible evaluation from this board because of all your work, and part of that evaluation is based on the fact that you surround yourself by such good talent in our entire team, and we're really grateful for everything that you've done in the last couple of years. So everybody is just amazing, and that's what it takes. It takes a team to make it all happen. I would like to also commend the elementary school counseling team. I was looking on the website at Counseling and School Support, and they put together an incredible family resources for summer tab. So if anybody's looking for something to do in the summer or is looking for mental health and wellness guidance, check out our mental health and wellness tabs on the website. They even have ideas for summer family fun, and it's very cool. I was really excited when I saw it, and a lot of people have mentioned that they've been able to utilize the information that's on there. So I just wanted to give them a shout out for that. Other than that, I hope everybody's having a nice summer. I know everybody's working still really hard, but for those that are able to take some time to relax, I hope you're doing that and recharging your batteries, because I know it's been a rough couple of years. So thank you.
Trustee Page?
Yes. Thank you, President Yamasaki. I'd just like to add a bit more about the summer programs that our district has developed strong partnerships with, in addition to San Diego Canyon College and also the Irvine Chinese School. And so this summer, like President Yamasaki said, hundreds of our students have been participating in summer programs, whether it's through our own local school sites, attending summer school, or attending courses at San Diego Canyon College. And to have elementary school students on a college campus, I think, is so influential because they can see what happens next after they graduate from our district. To be, even though they're the little kids on campus, that they're still completely taking over a college campus is really neat. Some of the programs that they've offered have been, the really big level topics like chemistry and engineering and different things like that, but they teach it in a hands-on learning way where it's a lot of fun. So for example, if a student's learning chemistry, they're creating slime. And if they want to learn about engineering, they're practicing Legos and building. And so I think, thank you so much to our educational services team and the partnership with San Diego Canyon College to be able to create these programs for our students, hopefully getting them excited to come back to school soon. In addition to that, Irvine Chinese School welcomes our students from Fletcher Mandarin Language and Gate Academy, their new name. Every week has thematic instruction. So for example, one week could be about animals, another week could be about games and sports, another week can be about food. And everything's taught through, interactive crafts and interactions with other students, 100% in Mandarin. So I'm hoping that many of our Fletcher students took advantage of that. I know my own daughter is in her second week attending Irvine Chinese School, and so I know that she's continuing to practice that since I can't really offer that at home, that she can continue practicing Mandarin and be ready for second grade. So thank you, Ms. Corella and your team, for offering great programs even over the summer.
Anybody else? No? All right. Thank you, Ms. Trustee Page. We'll go on to item 5, approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 2nd, 2022 meeting as presented?
I'll move.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So, Trustee Page moved, Trustee Erickson seconded to adopt the minutes of June 2nd, 2022. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is approved, 601. Okay, we'll go on to item 6, public comment. Trustee Page, will you read the guidelines for public comment?
Yes. Members of the audience may address the Board of Education on agenda items during consideration of that item and non-agenda items that are within this board's subject matter and jurisdiction. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes per topic. Persons wishing to speak should submit a blue card prior to the meeting. Non-agenda items may neither be acted upon nor discussed by the board, but will be responded to by either telephone, mail, or at a subsequent meeting. And we have one non-agendized comment.
Okay. Will you call for the public who wish to speak?
Yes, William Stevens.
Good evening. Thank you for serving our community with the Board of Education. My name is William Stevens. I'm a current resident of Orange, a former resident and graduate of Villa Park. I have a daughter entering first grade at Villa Park Elementary in the fall. And a little brief background for my being here is the national tragic news we've all heard about in Texas and other places. I've heard stories on the news about emergency drill training, and some places are choosing to do very realistic training, which might be a little too intense for some of the younger children. And I've discussed it with some other members of the community talking with other parents at gym class. They thought that there was training going on currently I spoke with some staff members or members of the Board of Education or the district. They say that they're not currently doing emergency training and that they're planning to have a forum, which I was pleased to hear. I thought I just might present a couple of ideas that the forum might pick up and develop more fully. One might be an opt-out. If the parents know that there's going to be a drill on a certain day, they can, if they wish to opt out, take their children out. Of course, this affects attendance and many other things that need to be discussed in the forum. If you don't have enough kids showing up, then maybe the drill is not going to be effective. On the other hand, though, if enough people are pulling their kids out, then maybe there's not a desire to have it at that particular age. So perhaps the forum could consider consulting with a child psychologist and determining appropriate ages and appropriate language, because it's quite sensitive for younger children that don't yet have this exposure. Perhaps a hybrid system, maybe in the earlier grades, they might be able to opt out. Some children would take it, some wouldn't. In a little bit higher age, maybe third grade, fourth grade, that option of opting out goes away, and everybody at that point needs to have it. At least some kids get it earlier on, and through peer discussions, they can discuss it with the other children when they return who haven't had the training. You may have it on a Friday. The kids who have it get to spend time in the security of their parents, and later can discuss it with the other children and say, oh yeah, it was no big deal, and I went home, and nothing came of it. It was just a training drill. So there might be a lot of things to consider, and I would like to, if possible, volunteer time to participate in that forum. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments?
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. Okay, we're rolling along here. We'll go to action item 7A, approval and adoption of the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program Plan.
Yes, Ms. Corella, would you like to introduce your team?
Yes, thank you. We're very excited this evening to have our exceptional team here led by Adolfo Herrera, who is new to Orange Unified. He joined us from Santa Ana in, I think it was May, and he's done a phenomenal job so far putting together this wonderful plan for our expanded learning opportunities. And we do have Elena Rodriguez, who I just want to publicly just really thank her for being here. She has been ill all week, and nothing COVID related, but she wanted to be here because she wants to support her team, supporting Mr. Herrera in his great work. So she's here to answer questions, and we do not want to use her voice because we need her nice and healthy for the start of school. And also I want to thank Amy and Jamie for being here, who do wonderful work with our after school care, and they're here to also be Adolfo's cheerleaders. So welcome, Mr. Herrera, to Orange Unified, and as you can see, we get you working right away, right? So thank you, and we're all looking forward to hearing your ideas and the vision that the Office of Equity and has put together in terms of looking at what we want to offer for extended learning. And I know we have some great ideas going on in Vision, so welcome.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Good evening, Board President Yamasaki, board members, Dr. Hansen, Executive Cabinet, and Orange Unified Community. My name is Adolfo Herrera, and it is my pleasure to kind of go give a little overview of our Expanded Learning Opportunities Program plan. So just to jump right into it, what is ELOP? ELOP stands for Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, which is something that's going to be happening before school, after school, summer, and intersession. There will be learning programs that will be focusing on developing the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs and interests of English learners, foster youth, as well as our low-income pupils through hands-on engaging learning. I heard earlier that we were talking about some of the amazing things that are happening at Santiago College. We are basically aligned with that. They have to be pupil-centered, results-driven, include community partners, and complement, but not replicate, learning activities in the regular school day and school year. This is granted from an assembly bill that passed 130 last year, and the money was granted to all districts so that they can create this type of program. So moving on to our allocation. Our allocation is going to be based on our unduplicated pupil enrollment. And unduplicated pupil is a term you're going to hear a lot. It represents our foster students, our English learners, as well as some of our lower income students. And our population number right now is 6,380. And based upon that, they will multiply some. We originally thought it was going to be about 1,250. It could be anywhere between 1,200 and 1,800 per student. Right now, we have from a good source, School Services of California, that we're looking at about $1,683,502 annually. So, what are some of the requirements that are coming along with this wonderful apportionment? Well, for this year, we have the charge of offering program to 50% of these unduplicated students. That is for 22-23. The following year, we are to offer to all of our students and provide services for all that would like them. Another important requirement is that we create a program plan. That has been created, and it's important that it contain these specific elements. It should have a safe and supportive environment. It should have active and engaged learning. There should be skill building, 21st century skills. There should definitely be youth voice and leadership. Healthy choices and behaviors, diversity, access, and equity. These are all elements that have to be in the plan. Another thing that we must do is we must offer a 9-hour program daily. The good thing is that we get to count 6 hours from our regular school day. We also have to offer 30 days of summer intercensure programming every year. That also must be 9 hours a day. We must ensure a small student to staff ratio, TKK must be 1-to-10 ratio, and 1st through 6th grade will be 20-to-1 ratio. And of course, we provide a USDA approved snack, and we're going to prioritize our enrollment for these unduplicated TK through 6 students. So this is what's required of us. I'm going to go ahead and click ahead. So you may be asking yourself, 9 hours, how's that going to function? Well, we've got two examples. Example one, what we would really like to do and offer every school that doesn't have one is offer a before school program. So at these schools that would generally start around 7 o'clock, there will be a before school program where students will arrive, they will get an enrichment activity, they will be able to eat a breakfast, and then they'll be lined up so that they can start the regular school day. And when those 6 hours begin, then we'll be moving forward towards the end of the day where we'll continue with expanded learning programs. We should wrap up around 4 o'clock, and that'll be the end of our program. But let's say a school doesn't really need a before school program. In that case, what we would do is we would start right away when school begins at 8, and then we would offer more programming at the end of the day towards 5 p.m. The 30 days, 9 hours, 30 additional days. Of course, we're going to target summer, and there'll be another additional days that we can offer as well. It can include Saturdays or any other intercession day. So we're looking at example one. Example one is going to be your traditional model. Once again, we'd like to offer before school so parents can drop off early at 7 a.m. And what we would do in this situation is we would take the students and we would transition them into the normal summer school where they would be working with a teacher. It might be intervention or whatever amazing program is going on that summer. And then as soon as they wrap up at 12, of course, they'll have their meal, and then they'd come back and do expanded learning. But there may be certain students, and I'm sure you've seen this before, and as I was a principal for 11 years, we saw that there were parents that wanted also to be a part of summer school, but for whatever reason, students didn't qualify, right? Maybe they didn't need intervention. The nice part is we'll be able to offer example number 2, which is basically a 9-hour expanded learning program, which would begin again at 7 and would wrap up at 4. There's flexibility there. They could start early and leave midday. They could start midday and leave in the afternoon, or they could stay all 9 hours. The important thing to remember too is that this is not going to be a separate program. We're going to be working within our current programs. So looking at this slide right here, you'll see that these are our base programs at every school site. A school site either has CARES or it has ACES. And these are our base programs. So what we'll be doing is if you look at box number 2 over to the right, you'll see the enrichment offerings that we will be providing so that students that are within these programs will be able to partake of the ones on the right. Our CARE staff, our ACES staff, our community partners, and our educators from OUSD will be offering program during this time. So what's nice is they can go ahead and transition over to some of these activities that they'd like to do. And once they're done, they can go back to their CARES or their ACES program. But let's say a UPP student or an unduplicated pupil would just like to do Drone Academy on Fridays. They absolutely can take part in that. They can sign up for that. That's all they have to attend to. And then at the end of the day, they can go home. So there's a lot of flexibility with this program, and it is written in there as such so that lots of families can partake, and there isn't the sense that you have to be there 5 days a week. So what kind of activities are we planning on that right side on that bubble? You'll see right here that on this slide we show the academic and enrichment activities that we are planning based upon the feedback that we receive from our stakeholders. We've been meeting with our principals, and we've been meeting with our school sites, and we've even come to a parent meeting as well. And some of the things that they've shared with us is they'd like to see on the left, you'll see we have a section for academic activities. They really want to see Lego robotics, foreign language support, Drone Academy, coding, esports, digital citizenship, homework and tutoring support, AVID, STEM competitions, which is something that this funding can provide for. On the right side, these are the fun enrichment things that, of course, we want to offer our students as well. Some of the feedback we've gotten includes providing some cooking courses, classes, sports camps, pep squad, photography, painting and art, dance, all different kinds of dances and genres, performing arts, DJ crew, and musical instrument instruction. Go ahead and go on to the next slide. Where are these programs located? Well, here's a sample of all of our care sites. And if you looked inside the parentheses, you'll see the number of students that need to be serviced annually. This is based upon what we had in spring as far as our unduplicated pupil population. Priority 1 schools there are Priority 1 schools because honestly they're the biggest apportionment. They have the biggest number of students, and we really want to make sure that we provide for them right away because it's going to be quite the challenge. This year we have a little bit of grace. We only have to serve half of those numbers, but come next year we have to be ready to provide for all. So these are the schools that are going to be serviced at the care sites. Next slide. These are the programs, as you see, that are located at the ACES sites. The numbers are a little bigger, but you'll see that we are working with our partners. They're up to the challenge. We've been meeting all through the summer and discussing what this is going to look like, including before school, including during after school, as well as the intersessions. And our partners, just to go through them, are Boys and Girls Club, Campfire, Think Together, and YMCA. We understand that when it comes to programming, what is novel and exciting one semester may not continue to be so going forward. We know that students can sometimes get tired of activities, right? So this is why we will continue to engage with our site administrators, our community-based partners, our CARES team, our parents, and our staff committees, and especially our students. They're the most important ones, to discuss what kind of innovative programming they would like to see offered to our OUSD scholars. So we'll definitely be holding collaborative meetings ongoing throughout the year, meeting with site administrations to gain insight on their programming needs, speaking to our parents groups, speaking to our district team, our district partner, our district offices here, our different departments, and seeing how we can help with their campaigns, whatever they may be trying to put into place. We have the perfect place for it after school and during those 30 days. We'll also be meeting with our community-based partners, meeting with current ones, and of course, prospective partners, because like I said, students like to do new stuff, and there's always something new that they would like to, and we want to make sure that we're ready to provide it. And lastly, the most important thing of all is having student voice. We want to create a leadership club for all the students at every school site that are part of this program so that they can have a voice and they can represent all the grade levels, and they can let us know exactly what it is that they like, they didn't like, and what they'd like to see moving forward. From our office, we know that it's very important that the fund be spent properly and that everything be, obviously we need to make sure that we're doing a great job, right? So one of the things that we intend to do is our team will definitely regularly monitor attendance, enrollment, our interest lists, our anecdotal data, surveys and focus groups, and other required reporting processes. The state of California has yet to release several auditing forms and things that they'd like to see. We're waiting on those, and once they come in, we will put those into effect as well. Like I mentioned, this is a ramp-up year. We're expected to service 50% of our population, but we're fully aware that we need to be ready to go 23-24, day one, with providing. And I think this year will give us a good sense of exactly what it is our students would like to see going forward. So this is the future VLP. It is expected that these funds will be ongoing and appropriated annually with anticipation of increases. So thank you so much for letting me present. And this is, we're ready to take any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you, Mr. Herrera, and welcome to OUSD.
Thank you.
And you jumped right in, and you're taking on this big project, so
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I think it's wonderful that we have this program available for our students, and I think it'll especially help with our working parents. I'd like to invite board members to ask questions before
I have some questions.
Sure,
I
okay.
have some questions. Welcome,
course, thank
Mr.
you.
Herrera. Thank you
so
for
much.
being with us.
Thank you.
This is great. I can sense your enthusiasm.
I
and
very much so, yes. I'm
Vigor,
very
and
excited.
so that's terrific. That's terrific. This sounds like a wonderful program, but I do have some questions. The students and the families that are involved in this, and when I see particularly some of these ideas for enrichment, will there be any fees required of families to contribute to these activities?
For these students that have been identified, no, it's absolutely 100% free.
Okay, and then kind of back up a little bit. I was so very impressed last summer when I talked to some of our staff about our summer school programs, and sometimes when you offer something, sometimes if you don't sort of be proactive, the students that need that extra help and attention might not be the ones that respond to the offering. And so what we did last year was we made the offering a little bit more personalized, and certain families were called to tell them about the program so that they know that the program is there, and were encouraged to participate. Of course, not required, but encouraged, and that really helped to get the help that was being offered to the students who really needed it. Is that planned for?
Absolutely. We intend to just full-blown social media, whatever we can do to reach out to all the families. We're going to go ahead and reach out to every single one and call if we have to, or do whatever we need to do so that they're aware that this is a great opportunity. Hopefully once it gets running and the students see the activities that are going, they'll be the ones that say, Mom, I want to stay after school. I really want to be a part of this. And of course, when parents become worried about certain things and, they're really suffering with math, or they're really having a hard time, then they can come to us and say, this is something that I like. Is there any way you guys can implement something to help me? Absolutely. So hopefully we can, as a team, really get that word out. And we're worried that it's going to spread like wildfire, and that we're going to be a victim of our success, right?
Exactly.
But actually, we're looking forward to it, and we know how important this is. So yeah, definitely. Social media, whatever it takes, personal phone calls, we'll do everything. Thank you for your suggestion, because absolutely.
Well, that's what our brilliant staff did last year, and I thought it was inspired, really, really smart. These activities sound really fun. I was wondering, you talked about hands-on activities, and I'm a real supporter of hands-on activities, and I'm wondering, will you have hands-on activities in scientific topics other than robotics?
Absolutely. So like they're mentioning the chemistry using the slime, all these things, we're already in talks with our partners as far as providing real authentic activities and making sure that it's not just something, run of the mill. It's got to be really, exciting, and it's got to basically replicate what they're doing at Santiago College.
Yeah, the kids learn by doing.
Absolutely,
that's what they love, and that's what they remember. Thank you for that. I have some more. If a student, you said that there's some flexibility. If the student only wants to come for half a day, or wants to only come for like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not Thursday and Friday, is the reimbursement based on their attendance? And if they don't attend 100% of the time, will the funding reflect that?
Great question. This is very unique in the way that they're giving the apportionment of funds. For a student to qualify as having attended, they only have to attend one activity. They could literally just come to one Saturday academy or just attend morning program, and it counts.
Okay.
Or they could come every day, morning, afternoon, and attend all 30 days of intercession. So really, I think the state was really thoughtful in considering that parents know that sometimes students have other activities.
Right.
So there's no reason that they should be disqualified just because they can't be there 5 days a week. So yes.
Great. And also, 9 hours is a long time.
It is.
That's a long time. I know that the planning will reflect having a variety of activities and having, strenuous activities balanced with more restful activities and,
Correct.
kind of balance that so it's interesting.
Absolutely.
And you said that there will be a snack. In 9 hours, I think there needs to be more than one
There'll
snack.
be more than one snack.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably
And
3.
there'll be breakfast if people come early, lunch for people who are there during lunch, and then maybe a morning snack and an afternoon
I believe
snack?
so, yes.
Okay.
In talks with Nutrition Services, they did
Okay.
mention that.
And then here's like a sort of a novel throwback idea. Will there be any just like encouragement to spend a little time reading?
Yes, definitely. That can be a huge part of our program as well, with incentives and rewards for participating. And yeah,
Because
absolutely.
kids can really get into like chapter books and high interest books. And
Yes.
my grandkids are now, coming into that and they're picking up a book on their own,
Right.
for the enjoyment of reading. And that could be one of those restful activities in
Definitely.
between the PE and all the other
Yes,
things.
absolutely.
And it's just, I don't think we ever want to waste an opportunity to encourage that love of reading for
Agree,
kids.
100%.
So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You, Trustee Buffett. Trustee Page?
Again, welcome, Mr. Herrera.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions, starting with the hours. I know that there's a new law for California where start time has started, delayed, right, after
Right.
8 or something like that. So with the 2 different examples that you listed here, does each school site get to choose based on what their population
They absolutely
votes
do.
on, I guess?
Absolutely. Having spoken with the principals, some have mentioned to me, is it possible for you to start at 6:50? And I think really the biggest indicator of when to start will be when is the custodian ready to open the school and annex. So really that, yeah. So if custodians there to unlock for us, absolutely we can work that where they're there a little earlier. Yes, it's very flexible. The main thing that you can take away from the expanded learning is that it's very flexible, as far as giving many opportunities for students to attend when they need to, and giving us as a district an opportunity to say, when are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? For example, that 9-hour day. If it is too long, they can absolutely, go home at midday, and that would be perfect. They wouldn't be removed from the program. That would be fine. That would count.
And how would a family find out about this?
Oh, we're going to definitely make sure that we're already starting a little campaign. We're getting ready. We're gearing up. I'm working to get the social media account going so that we can already start surveying parents as well, and getting the word out to all the schools to say, here's an additional opportunity, and here's how you can enroll. Really, they can attend. They just, more than anything, they just need to say, yes, my son or daughter can attend, and we'll track that, and then they're good to attend whenever they want throughout the year. And we'll always be making sure that we broadcast and blast information saying, guess what? Okay, we are going to do we'll do a camp in December, for 9 hours, and it'll be et cetera. So every school is very unique. Some would like to do Saturdays, and others would like to do 5 days in December, or use some of that, the time in between, kind of like spring break or winter break.
Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, so we're working with them, with everyone uniquely, and saying, absolutely, you've got 15 days on the side, you got 15 days in the summer. Where would you like to use those days?
Okay, good. I think some of the feedback that I've gotten from families has been that the earlier they find out about programs, the
Right.
better that they can plan. One of the things that I heard about our summer programs from other families was that there were too many choices and they came a little bit late. And so it was really difficult to choose
Right.
how to maneuver that. And so I think if, our families found out about, offering Thanksgiving week or winter break, something over winter break, the earlier the better so that they can plan.
Definitely.
And then my last question is about the bullet point where it says youth voice and leadership. So what does student engagement look like with the ELOP?
Youth Voice we're kind of envisioning almost like a club where every single grade level will have a representative, and they'll be able to meet with the leader, and they'll be able to discuss some of the things that are going well, go through kid-friendly surveys so that they don't, they don't have to necessarily poll everybody, and really sitting there looking at the data. So that brings in math, right? And it brings in reading, and it brings in some of those other skills that we like to develop. And then they'll have a voice as to say when we meet together with our partners or with CARES and say, I really didn't like that song. The song wasn't so much a hit. Is there any way we could have something different? Music is a hit, dance or whatever. Hip hop dance is the big thing right now. Can we have something along those lines? And we're here to listen, and we're here to work with our partners to make sure that we get that going. And let's say it's a massive hit and there's a wait list, then we know that we're working with our partners to see if we can get an additional open, block so that more students can attend.
Okay, so with all the different topics that are offered, they would kind of be on a rotation based on what the students ask for? And
the schools as well, and the parents, definitely. Okay. Yeah, we want to make sure that everyone has an equal voice here.
Yes, I love that there's like a level of co-creation with student voice, and
huge,
because it's what they're going to participate in.
Yes, definitely. And it's something that's required by the state. It's not something that, of course I would always want to go in that direction, but the state is saying, no, this is not supposed to be top down from you telling them what's good for you. That we want it, students should be able to express their opinion, and they should be able to chip in and say what kinds of stuff that they like to say.
Yes, I think my favorite phrase that you used in the very beginning, hold on, I wrote it down, was to complement our academics, not replicate it.
Exactly.
So this is amazing. Thank you for all your hard work.
Of course. No, of course. Thank you. We're beginning the hard work, but it's worth it. Oh, yes.
I just too wanted to welcome you, and I'm so excited to have you, and I can see your enthusiasm, and this is such an important program for these students.
It's great.
I wanted to clarify, you said in the first year we serve 50%. Are we serving 50% of the schools or 50% of the students on all of those campuses?
50% of the students that have been identified as that unduplicated population base, those are the ones we need. So for example, I think if you see, is it Lamston? Lamston's close to 500. So we need to provide service for 250 of those students this year. Okay. Next year, we'll have to service all 500.
So all of these campuses will have the program, but it won't necessarily serve all of the students?
No. It's going to be, the funding is based upon that number. And that's why I put it in parentheses so you can see exactly which ones are a little, getting a little more than the others.
Okay. You also said for these students, there was no, it's free of charge, obviously being paid for by the state. Can other students participate in the program that can pay as they go?
Yes, they can. Okay. Absolutely. And my understanding is that we're waiting for the state to give us a system of how we're going to provide that sliding scale. Okay. So we can definitely do that.
Great. Because I can imagine it will look really enticing to a lot of students.
Yes, and we want to make sure everyone gets a chance to be involved.
If we come across programs, can we pass that information on to you?
Absolutely.
Somebody came to me with a program that sounded amazing. It's called Dance for Kindness, and it's
my gosh, that does sound great.
Expression through movement, and it's social emotional learning. Anyway, it looks really cool, so I'll pass the information on.
Please do. We're looking for partners.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? I just wanted to add on to Trustee Erickson's questions. She asked some of the questions that I was going to ask. I see right here, it says CARES program, and it says parent pay program. Mm-hmm. So, and this is a state-funded program, ACES.
Correct.
So when you say parent pay, it's just meaning parents have the, the kids who are not UPP have to pay under the CARES program or under the ACES? Or?
CARES will still exist as it does right now.
Okay.
But we are looking to taking this additional funding and hoping to support those families that can't afford to pay, and help offset some of that cost as well.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just named it as that just to say that that's the type of program that it is.
Got it. Yeah, I was a little confused about that.
Yeah.
That's it. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr.
We look forward to hearing more about the program as it's being implemented.
Thank you.
Great. All right, moving along, we're going to go.
This I believe is an action item, Ms. Yamasaki.
Thank you. Sorry. So it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan as presented. Do I?
I'll move.
Oh, thank you, Trustee Page. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Erickson? Any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is approved, 601. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 8, information discussion item, 45-day revise report.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, distinguished board members, Dr. Hanson, my colleagues in cabinet, and then the Orange community that is here tonight. By law, we're required to present a report to the board after the adoption of the state budget. The report has to be filed if there's any material and relevant changes in the district's budget. Ordinarily, there's not. What we budget and provide the board at the June meeting is closely aligned to what is signed in the Budget Act. This year is much different. And what we're going to present with you, myself and Mrs. Balsara, is outline some of the major items of the budget that has been changed compared to what you adopted in June. On the dais, I have provided you a copy that was provided to the CBOs of all the programs and the status updates of those programs, the last column being the State Budget Act. So we will be tracking some of those documents and some of the legislation, whether it moves forward or not. And we'll be happy to provide you Friday updates, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions and we can provide you updates on those topics. What we are going to cover tonight is 7 sections of the report. We're going to cover what was in the budget and what the State Budget Act included, and then what's the delta in our funding. So Mrs. Balsara is going to cover the next few sections.
Good evening, everyone. As Dave Rivera mentioned, that I'm going to cover some of the highlights that's changed in the budget. So when we adopted the budget last month, it's based on the governor's proposal in January, and we included COLA of 5.33%, and based on the governor proposal going through the state legislative process, and they have enacted the budget, and now it's going to be 12.84% increase in the COLA, and that including the augmentation to the base funding. And for our district, that is going to be $11,436 per ADA, and equivalent to $17.75 million in next year. And this shows the how we adopted the budget on the left side versus what is the state enacted budget. It rose by $4.3 billion at the state level, and that is, you can see the base amount that we adopted, about $220 million, and it's now base is $237 million. And same with the supplemental, it's $2 million more than what was adopted. And total $241.5 million is now turning into $259 million, which is $17.75 million in the increase in funding of next year. And subsequently, the 2 out years, 23-24 and 24-25, as you can see, the COLA factors has been increasing a little over 5% and 4% in the 2 years, and that is also contributing to the funding levels increase. And you can see from $249 million to $272 in 23-24, and same with the 24-25 year, additional $24.5 million. So all in all, 22.85 and 24.5 million in the next 2 years as well. At the time when we adopted the budget, we did not include any of the TK expansion. But when we got more information in State Budget Act, we are going to be budgeting. We are going to be including about 6.4 million additional in the revenue, and 2,813 is the add-on. That's the additional money per TK student, and the funding is really based on the included in the LCFF funding. Excuse me. So you may ask that what is it for declining enrollment in the state budget? There are two big important factors that's in the state budget that's included. At budget assumption, there was nothing included, but what happened is that historically we have been getting funded based on the current or prior year, and whichever is higher ADA. So the historical formula has been changing, and it's going to be 3-year average enrollment. So what that means is the last 3 years of average, and which is going to be higher than current or prior year. That's what we are going to be funded at. And also the other factor is really important, that is a new that came into state budget, is it's only for one time that they are allowing the 1920 attendance rate to be applied to 21-22 ADA, because all the districts have experienced a large decrease in the attendance and enrollment. So that factor and 1920 attendance rate, as you may know, that is pre-pandemic rate. So that way we can have more ADA and more funding. And as you can see on this slide, the ADA increase that's going to be contributing because of that 872 students, and 500 in next year, and the following year another 300. And obviously that contributes the funding level, and that's going to be increasing by 9.77, 6 and 3 million, almost 4 million in the next year. With that, and you may have heard about block grants, and so we are anticipating two of the one-time block grants, and one of them is Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and that is really equivalent about to $2,150 per the UPB unduplicated account, as you heard Adolfo talking about unduplicated account, and that's how it's based on that. And this funding is really going to be there for 6 years until 27-28 year, and we are expected to receive about 25.9 million, almost 26 million. And this is mainly because of the recovery from pandemic. All the COVID funding that's ESSER, it's already going away by that time. So that is the other block grant that we can fall to. And the other block grant is Arts, Music, and Instructional Discretionary, and that is $675 per ADA that we are going to get, and estimated to receive 14.8 million, and we'll have about 4 years to use those funds. And we haven't got much of the details, but about this, the allowable use includes the operational cost and any COVID-related costs that we are incurring currently that we can continue with this block grant, and in addition to obviously instructional uses. And as we get more information on the block grants, we will share with you board either Friday memo or more information to the presentation.
Can I ask a clarifying question for that? So when you're talking about the 14.8 million over 4 years, is that a one-time fund, or is that spread out over the 4 years?
No, so it's a one-time funding, so we will receive next year, 22-23 year, and we have 4 years to spend that.
To use it.
And
Okay.
there is a requirement for expenditure, but we haven't received that much of the details yet. And yeah. So home to school transportation is another funding that we have. We run a 10 million program for our district, and since 2013-14, the funding hasn't been increased at a state level, and it's we are receiving about 2.2 million out of the 10 million program. So it's always been underfunded, and so the state budget is including about 60% of the expenses that we have incurred as part of our funding for next year, and then they are going to be including COLA every year from next year onwards. So it will be increasing every year, and it's looking about 3.83 million in addition to what we are receiving currently. And with that, we have several other funding, and Mr. Rivera is going to go over with you.
Ms. Balsara, may I ask a question on this, the home to school transportation? Will this additional funding, will it have the effect of our being able to lower the cost of our bus tickets to our families and students?
So
we can, once we get the parameters, because there's an application that we have to file by April, we can evaluate how we choose to spend that money. So that could be an option that the board looks at.
Okay. I'll be eager to hear.
So before Mrs. Balsara steals all my thunder, let's look at the other funds that are available to us, but we don't have any specificity. The state is funding out of their general fund, out of Prop 51, $1.4 billion for construction. We have two projects that we have submitted and we're waiting funding for. One is the first increment for Orange High, and I believe that allocation is $6 million. That was for the infrastructure that was was the first phase of the project before we started with the STEM Center. Then the second project is Kelly Stadium. Kelly Stadium qualified because it's on the El Medina campus, and that is expected to be somewhere around $17 million in state matching funds. There's some funding for transitional, for the TK program for facilities. That's an underfunded program, as we shared with the board before. We'll wait and see what we're going to qualify for. In terms of ongoing funds, you can see that there's a commitment to special ed and increasing funding. It wasn't that long ago that the funding was in the $500 range. Some additional funding for our food service program in terms of being able to meet the capacity of serving our kids, since we're serving all the kids for free. And you can, and the other comments about the ELO program, how they've changed that funding. Unfortunately, there still continues to be a trend of providing funding basis off UPP. So districts that do not get concentration grants like us, but has a large number of students that would qualify for concentration grants, that we don't receive funding. So that's a challenge to us, and we hope that the state starts to reconsider those schools that still would qualify for concentration grant funds. Half our schools would qualify for that grant if that change was made. So what does all this add up to? So you can see that, I'm not going to read the numbers, you can read them yourself. So if we
Mr. Rivera, can I ask a question about this previous part before we get to the thunder?
Sure.
For those one-time monies, you were talking about the matching funds, for instance, for Fred Kelly Stadium. Obviously, Fred Kelly Stadium's done. Is that money used to just reimburse ourselves for that, or is that something we can use on the El Medina campus to do another project?
You can use it anyway.
You have both options.
Okay, so it's free? I mean, that's...
So what we like to do in the business office is to bring you some solutions as to how that money can be flexed to serve other projects, either at El Medina site or other sites.
And so we are free to even use it on other sites. It's not limited to the site it was matched at.
We go through the process with the state, which is an audit process where we provide them all the documentation. Once they clear us and they certify our project as being complete, then we work with our auditors to make sure of how we're going to use the funds and the available flexibility.
Okay. Thank you.
So going back to the summary of funding. So the numbers that you see here are reported in millions. You can see in 22-23, we have about $41 million, almost $41 million of one-time money that we have to spend over 4 to 6 years, depending on which program. So you're looking at ongoing funding in about the range of $37 million. And then you can see for the next 2 years, the additional funding that we would be provided under the State Budget Act, assuming all the conditions and provisions continue and that we have a healthy state economy that will allow us to be funded. So what's the next steps? So Mrs. Balsara and I will be looking at our budget stabilization plan. Our budget stabilization plan has 4 components: revenue enhancements, expenditure reductions, shifts of expenditures to restricted programs, and then use of reserves. So when we're looking at these funds and identifying the potential uses, we're going to compare that to what's in our budget to see if we can take flexibility and take advantage of having these one-time funds or restricted programs pay for something that we are currently paying out of our own funds. An example of that would be a textbook adoption that is coming from our base. So we would like to see, once we get the information, whether there's some flexibility to move that expense to another category. That's just an example. So we're planning to bring you back an update no later than the first interim report, which is filed in December 15th. And we'll be communicating with the board any updates, any information that we get based off the information that we've provided you, and be giving you regular updates. I can't tell you exactly when that's going to be. I do expect that in the next month or two that we will be getting information from the state on the guidelines and conditions that we have to comply with for these funds. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Do we have any questions?
I have a really simple question about the 3-day average, or 3-year average, I'm sorry. So I don't know why it took so long for me to figure this out, but before it was the previous year ADA, and then that's the funding that you would get that following year. With the 3-year average, every year they're going to recalculate your 3-year average, and then that's the funding that you'll get the following year. Is that how that works?
So let's start at the top. So remember last year, every time that we did a report, I showed you a table that says, this is what our budget projection is at 96%, and this is where we're at. And we were like 750 below that average because kids were out because of COVID. So what the state authorized is that we use the percentage rate for 1920, which was pre-COVID, that we can use that for 21-22. So instead of getting 92%, we were able to use the 96% number. So that's one time. So once we updated the 21-22 ADA percentage and then did the 3-year average, that's how we got to this number of 872. And then as each year falls off, because we're projecting a decline of 360, and we made projections based off of the previous model, which was the higher of current year or prior year. So once we updated those numbers, and Mrs. Balsara checked this with the county, this is the additional funding that we're going to budget for that we didn't anticipate with our adopted budget because the rules weren't established by then. So as we did the math and did the verifications and checking, this is how much more we can fund because the state is now using an average. So think of it this way. if you're declined by 360 kids, when we budget the 360 kids. If they're using a 3-year average, then they're only using a third of that 360 in terms of the funding. So it's not being reduced by the full 360, it's only being reduced, let's say, by 120.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense now. Thank you.
Well, we work a lot on this, so it comes second nature for us.
May I ask a question along those same lines, continuing her thought? So in 25, 26, will they start all over and then do actual ADA at that time, and then you'll see a huge drop, right?
No, what you're going to see is that this is going to continue. So when you're budgeting for 24, 25, you're going to use the average of 22, 23, 23,
Okay.
24, and 24, 25.
Got it. So it's a continuous 3-year
It's a continuous,
average.
it's a rolling 3-year average.
Got it, okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Well, I'm just going to say that, this is historic. I mean, California has been known to be one of the lowest funded states. I mean, depending on what you read, it's been 43 or 45 out of 50 states. And this is like, from my recollection, and since my kids have been in school, I haven't seen funding at these levels. So this is amazing. But I know we're still far off from the top 10 states. So, but this is much needed funding. And so we're excited to be able to bring programs to serve our kids.
It's welcome timing for these funds to come in.
Yeah.
Now the work is going to start as to how we prioritize, how we make the most benefit of these funds to impact our students.
Yes. Well, we have a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. What a time to be a CBO, huh?
Well, when I started, my hair was jet black, so.
All right. Do we have any other comments or questions before we move on? Okay. So we'll go on to item 9, consent items. Consent items are acted upon by one motion. However, any such item can be considered separately at a board member's request and will be acted upon following approval of the consent items. Would anyone like to pull an item or move to approve the agenda? The consent items.
Madam President?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I
I was
interrupt?
going to move. Sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to pull item 15, I think it's D.
D.
Approval of contract for employment, deputy superintendent, amend term of employment for the assistant superintendents. It's really, I want to, that looks like a D to me.
Well, I think the agenda that you have, Rick, is from Friday. So
Okay.
the new agenda, it's now item,
Okay, so F, all right, F then.
item F.
And it would be just item 1, deputy superintendent.
Okay, so I'll read the item that you're going to pull is approval of contract of employment for deputy superintendent to, so not the second part, the
No,
amend?
no, just that,
Okay.
that one line item.
So,
So
Ms.
we'll split that?
Yeah, so I believe, Ms. Eric, what we would do is take out section 2 of 15F and include it with consent when they move the other items, and just take out the first part of F, which is number 1.
Okay,
Okay.
so will someone move all the other items?
Is there a pay, there's no, I'm having trouble finding this item.
Well, in your packet, it is
There's-
actually
The last
item
page.
15D.
Ours looks like this.
Oh,
then
D?
apparently there's another packet.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they sent an updated agenda.
We sent an updated agenda with 2 additional items that were added.
In an email, she
Oh, okay.
included it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Was
looking at
from
the
the
old
Friday.
So
one.
the copy that you have is from Friday, and then, yeah.
And she sent an email to update it.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Okay.
Okay, so there's part 1 and part 2 of item 15D?
But it's actually
Now F.
F.
Oh,
F now.
okay. It's 15F. And has that been split? Are we going to?
That's what I'm suggesting, since
Okay.
Mr. Ledesma would like to pull the deputy superintendent contract. You have part 2 of that item. It's all the cabinet contracts. And so part 2 is the assistant superintendents, and those can be moved into the rest of the consent if you're going to make a motion to move the other items.
So the motion would be all consent items with the exception of 15F, Part 1.
Correct.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve all items except 15F sub 1.
I'll second.
Trustee Page, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Motion is approved, 601. So now we will be considering pulled item 15F, Part 1. Okay,
Okay, now, the reason why I pulled this is a change in cabinet. It's a cabinet level change, and it's a pretty serious change because that basically put the deputy superintendent just one step before you get into the superintendency. So given that importance, I just felt like we needed to do this with the full board. Mr. Ortega's not here, and it'd be good to have the full board make a decision on this.
so are you,
I'm asking my colleagues here if we could
is that-
postpone this.
so are you asking
postpone
to
this.
table?
Yeah, table it.
Table it? Is that
till a full
postpone or
board-
table? Would it be,
I believe you'd be saying you'd move it to a date certain, which would be the next board meeting, correct?
so we will have to vote on whether we will table it
Well,
for the next
First,
meeting.
that's the first vote.
That's
Are
the
we gonna-
first step.
Oh, right, but are we going to have a full board the next board meeting?
I don't know.
Good question.
So I think we have to do a motion to table
Okay, well, my motion is to table this till
the next board meeting.
till the next board meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Well, I'll just say right now, I just found out today that my mother's funeral and services are going to be on the day of our next meeting in another state, so I won't be at the next board meeting. So if the basis of moving this is because the full board isn't here, I won't be there for the next board meeting.
Okay. So I think we can just call for a vote, and then we can go from there
And the vote is just whether to table it or not.
to table it. Right. All right. Any further discussion before I call for a vote?
Now, this would not, the question for the superintendent. Now, I know this is to begin July 1st, 2022, so make it effective July 1st, 2022. If we were to vote on it at a subsequent board meeting, we could still retro to the effect of being July 1st, 2022, right?
That would be up to the board's discretion to make that determination.
Okay.
That's a salary discussion, so you would have to vote on that.
All right. I think our first item is to vote on whether we table. And then so we'll just do that, and then we'll proceed.
Okay.
So, so the motion is to table item 15F, Part 1, to the next meeting. So,
Has that been moved and seconded?
Yes, yes.
First and second.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
No.
Aye. Just 2 ayes, or 1 aye?
Wait, excuse me, all those in favor of tabling?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. So then the motion
I believe the motion fails, 4-2.
fails, 4, 2, 1.
One absent.
Right. All right, so then that means the item is up for consideration now.
I'll move to adopt consent item 15F sub 1. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay. I move that we adopt that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Moffett seconds. Any discussion? No discussion?
I think
Okay.
it's a good idea.
All right. So I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
So we have 2 noes? Okay, motion passes 4, 2, 1.
4-2, one absent. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. We'll go on to item 17. Do we have any public comments?
We don't have any more public comments.
18, other business. Do we have any other
Madam
business?
President,
Yes.
I would just like to thank my colleagues on the board and the superintendent and our staff for the kind wishes that they extended my way at the time of the loss of my mom. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Trustee Moffett, I would like to offer heartfelt condolences to you and your family, because I know it's been really difficult. Thank you.
Very much.
Anything else? Okay. We are adjourned at 8:24.